upsets of the season. Now, under the sweltering Washington summer sun, she is rallying with one of the sport's all-time legends. The simple version of this story almost writes itself. A legend extends a hand to a rising star. Venus Williams opens a door, and Alex Eala receives the opportunity of a lifetime. It's a feel-good narrative, inspiring and emotional. But it is also incomplete. Venus Williams has spent her entire life surrounded by elite tennis. She has practiced with, competed against, and partnered with hundreds of world-class players. Few active players understand doubles as deeply as she does. If she had wanted an experienced doubles specialist, she had countless choices. If she had wanted an American partner, there were plenty available. If she had wanted a globally recognized superstar, she certainly had no shortage of options. So why did she choose Alex Eala? The truth is that no one outside their inner circle knows every detail of the conversation that brought this partnership together. Venus has never suggested that one single match determined her decision. Yet the strongest explanation begins months earlier, on January 5th in Auckland, New Zealand. That was the day Venus Williams stood across the net from Alex Eala and lost. When you place the timeline in its proper order, this partnership no longer looks like an act of generosity from a veteran toward a promising youngster. Instead, it begins to look like something much more meaningful: recognition. That distinction matters because recognition in professional tennis is never given lightly. It is earned through performance, resilience, and the ability to compete with the very best. For a champion with Venus Williams' experience, choosing a doubles partner is not about creating headlines. It is about trust, chemistry, and confidence in what another player can bring to the court. To truly understand why this partnership has captured so much attention, you have to rewind the story to a time before Wimbledon, before Berlin, before Alex Eala climbed into the world's top 30, and before most American tennis fans fully understood just how dangerous she was becoming. Long before the rankings and headlines reflected her rise, she had already begun proving that she belonged among the sport's elite. The partnership with Venus Williams wasn't the beginning of Alex Eala's breakthrough. It was another sign that one of the greatest champions in tennis had already recognized what the rest of the world was only starting to see. To understand Alex Eala's journey, you have to begin in Manila. The Philippines is a nation that lives and breathes basketball. Courts can be found everywhere, in crowded neighborhoods, alongside busy roads, squeezed between buildings, and in any open space where a hoop can be installed. The country also reveres boxing. Manny Pacquiao became far more than a world champion. He became a national icon whose achievements united an entire nation. Tennis, however, has never occupied that same place in Philippine sports culture. The country has produced talented professionals and respected doubles players over the years, but there was no well-established path for a young Filipino girl dreaming of becoming one of the world's elite singles competitors. When Alex Eala picked up a tennis racket at just 4 years old, she wasn't following a clearly defined roadmap. She was stepping into largely uncharted territory. Fortunately, she grew up in a family that understood the demands of elite competition. Her mother, Rosemary Eala, had represented the Philippines in swimming at the Southeast Asian Games, so discipline, sacrifice, early mornings, and relentless repetition were already part of the family's mindset. They understood the unique challenges of pursuing excellence in an individual sport. But professional tennis required far more than talent and determination. It demanded constant international travel, significant financial commitment, world-class coaching, and, perhaps most difficult of all, the willingness for a young athlete to leave home long before fully understanding the emotional cost of that decision. Eala's talent soon became impossible to ignore. She proved herself at prestigious junior events, including Les Petits as in France, one of the world's most respected junior tennis tournaments. Her success there opened the door to an extraordinary opportunity, a place at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. For any aspiring player, admission into one of the world's premier training academies would be life-changing. For a young athlete from the Philippines, it represented an opportunity that few had ever received. Yet that opportunity demanded enormous sacrifice. The kind that highlight reels and social media clips rarely capture. Alex left behind her family, her closest friends, her native language, her favorite foods, and every comfort that had defined her childhood. She moved thousands of miles away to Spain to train in an academy built around the values and relentless standards of Rafael Nadal, one of the greatest competitors tennis has ever known. It was a leap into an unfamiliar world where every day required adapting not only to higher levels of tennis but also to a completely different culture and way of life. What made her journey especially remarkable was that she wasn't following a blueprint created by generations of Filipino tennis stars. She was creating that blueprint herself. That distinction is significant. A talented young American player can study the careers of countless professionals who came before her, draw inspiration from former champions, work with experienced coaches, compete through established college systems, and benefit from a deep national tennis infrastructure. Alex Eala had far fewer examples to follow. Many of the answers that young players in traditional tennis nations take for granted simply didn't exist for her. Instead of inheriting a clear path, she had to build one through persistence, courage, and belief in possibilities that had never before been realized by a Filipino singles player. Every milestone she reached became more than a personal achievement. It became proof that future generations could dream bigger than those who came before them. Long before she was defeating Grand Slam champions or training alongside legends like Venus Williams, Alex Eala was already changing the future of Philippine tennis simply by daring to pursue a path that no one else had successfully traveled. One question after another stood in front of Alex Eala as she pursued a professional career. When was the right time to turn professional? Which tournaments would best support her development? How could she manage the enormous pressure of representing an entire nation that desperately wanted her to succeed? What would happen if her progress stalled for 6 months? What if her ranking dropped while the expenses of traveling the world continued to rise? Being the first to achieve something can look glamorous once the breakthrough arrives. Before that breakthrough, however, being first often feels like walking through darkness without a clear path ahead. In 2022, Eala achieved one of the most significant milestones in Philippine tennis history by winning the US Open girls singles title. She became the first Filipino player ever to capture a junior Grand Slam singles championship, completing the entire tournament without dropping a single set. The victory transformed the way the Philippines viewed her. She was no longer simply a gifted junior prospect with enormous potential. She became a symbol of what Filipino tennis could one day become, carrying the hopes of an entire nation before her professional career had fully taken shape. That attention arrived long before the professional results were ready to support it. Eala was still a teenager, still adjusting to life on the professional tour, and still learning how to compete against experienced adults who had spent years solving the same tactical and mental challenges she was only beginning to encounter. Winning a junior Grand Slam is an extraordinary accomplishment, but it guarantees almost nothing at the professional level. It proves exceptional talent, determination, and competitive maturity, yet it offers no protection against injuries, ranking pressure, financial challenges, relentless travel, or the significant physical and mental differences between junior tennis and the WTA Tour. Like every young star before her, Eala still had to make that difficult transition to BY 2025. That transition was finally beginning to take shape. At the Miami Open, she produced the biggest breakthrough of her professional career, defeating some of the sport's most accomplished players in a remarkable run that captured international attention. She earned impressive victories over Yelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek before pushing Jessica Pegula to the limit in the semifinals. Suddenly, the same American broadcasters who had barely known how to pronounce her name were introducing her to audiences around the world. Tennis fans who had never followed Philippine tennis were now watching one of its brightest stars announce herself on one of the sport's biggest stages. Miami wasn't just a successful tournament, it was the moment Alex Eala proved she belonged among the world's elite, laying the foundation for everything that would follow in the months ahead. Filipino flags began appearing throughout the stands in Florida, and the tennis world finally realized that the junior champion from Manila had become a genuine threat on the professional tour. Then came Eastbourne, where Alex Eala reached the first WTA Tour final of her career on grass. In doing so, she became the first Filipina to reach a WTA-level singles final, setting up a championship match against Maya Joint. It was a breakthrough moment, and she came agonizingly close to making even more history. Eala earned one championship point, then another, and yet another. 4 opportunities to become the first Filipino player to win a WTA singles title. All 4 slipped away, and eventually so did the match. The defeat was heartbreaking, but it was far from a failure. Instead, it confirmed that she had developed into a player capable of reaching the final stages of major professional tournaments and competing for titles against the best in the world. The real challenge came afterward. During the North American hardcourt swing, Eala faced former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova. She started brilliantly, taking the opening set 6-3 and dictating much of the play. Then her left shoulder began to trouble her. For a left-handed player, that is more than a minor injury. It affects nearly every aspect of the game. The serve loses power and accuracy, the forehand becomes less reliable, and the natural patterns that shape an entire match begin to fall apart. As the discomfort increased, her rhythm disappeared. She dropped the next 2 sets, and shortly afterward she withdrew from the Cincinnati tournament to focus on recovery. The consequences were immediate. Her ranking eventually slipped to world number 68. The greatest danger wasn't that Alex Eala had forgotten how to play tennis or that her talent had suddenly disappeared. The real danger was the interruption. Momentum is one of the hardest things to build in professional sports and one of the easiest things to lose. Only weeks earlier, she had stood a single point away from capturing her first WTA Tour title. Now she was battling pain, uncertainty, and the fear that her own body might prevent her progress from becoming permanent. That period should never be mistaken for a career collapse. By that stage, Eala had already proven far too much for anyone to dismiss her potential. Even so, it represented one of the toughest tests of her young career. The spotlight dimmed, tournament schedules became less predictable, and every practice session centered not only on improving her game but also on rebuilding her shoulder and restoring the confidence that injury can quietly erode. Recovery wasn't measured in dramatic moments. It came one training session, one pain-free swing, and one small step forward at a time. Then came January 5, 2026, a date that would become another turning point in Alex Eala's remarkable journey and set the stage for everything that followed. Then came January 5, 2026, at the ASB Classic in Auckland. It was the opening round of the women's doubles tournament, and on one side of the net stood 2 of the most accomplished players in the sport. Venus Williams brought 7 Grand Slam singles titles, 14 Grand Slam doubles championships, and more than 3 decades of professional experience. Alongside her was Alina Svitolina, a former world number 3 WTA Finals champion, Olympic medalist, and one of the most consistent competitors of her generation. Across the net were Alex Eala and Iva Jovic. Eala was just 20 years old, while Jovic was only 18. They had very little experience playing together and almost no one expected them to win. The opening set immediately became a battle. It stretched into a tense tiebreak where the experienced veterans had multiple opportunities to seize control. Instead, Eala and Jovic refused to back down. They held their nerve in the biggest moments and captured the tiebreak 9-7. Rather than losing momentum after taking the first set, the young pair raised their level even further. They dominated the second set, cruising to a convincing 6-1 victory. That scoreline is significant because it wasn't a ceremonial appearance or a respectable defeat that allowed everyone to celebrate the effort. 2 young players had defeated 2 of the most decorated champions in tennis and then controlled the second set with remarkable authority. After the match, Eala responded with humility. She spoke respectfully about Venus Williams and Alina Svitolina, describing them as pioneers who had inspired generations of players. She made it clear that simply sharing the court with athletes of their stature had been an honor. Her words reflected genuine respect, but the match itself revealed something equally important. Alex Eala belonged at that level. Venus Williams didn't learn about Alex Eala through promotional campaigns, highlight videos, or glowing recommendations. She experienced Eala's game firsthand. She saw the sharp angles created by her left-handed game, felt the constant pressure on return, witnessed her speed around the court, and watched how she responded when the first set became tense and every point carried extra weight. Most importantly, Venus experienced what Eala was capable of when the match stopped being comfortable and turned into a test of composure and execution. Does that prove Venus immediately decided to partner with Eala? Professional partnerships are influenced by many factors, and only the players themselves know exactly how those conversations unfolded. But that match provided something elite competitors value above almost everything else: direct evidence. Not rankings. Not reputation. Not social media highlights. Not someone else's opinion. Venus Williams saw Alex Eala's abilities with her own eyes because she competed